Welcome to Long Live Alternative Parties podcast. Today, friends, we have another exciting guest on our podcast like we tend to. His name is Andrew, like me, and his last name is Cottingham. And he's from a party in Illinois, so he's going to talk to us about the party he represents and the campaign he's running. So welcome to the podcast, Andrew.
Hey, Andrew. Thank you for the opportunity to come on and speak. Nice name, by the way. My name is Andrew Cottingham. I am the Independence Party's candidate for state representative in the 112th Representative District of Illinois. So glad to be on here and happy for the opportunity to speak.
Yes, I look forward to talking about all these aspects of your campaign. So first of all, please give us a background of yourself, a brief biographical sketch so we know who you are.
All right. So like I said, my name is Andrew Cottingham. I am from Collinsville, Illinois, which is in the St. Louis Metro East area of Southern Illinois, which is about 20 minutes from downtown St. Louis. I've been very active in politics my whole life. I started at a young age being interested in history and politics and whatnot, which eventually led me to pursuing a degree in political science. I graduated from the University of Evansville, which is in southern Indiana, with a Bachelor of Science concentrated in political science with minors in law, history, and international studies. So I literally live and breathe for politics. Now, for most of my life, I would say that I grew up in a predominantly Republican family and actually identified as one for most of my life up until when I went to college. I was pretty disgruntled with how the Republican Party was running things and what they were doing and focusing on. And so I decided to actually cross the aisle briefly to the Democratic Party. And once again, I was disappointed with what I was met there. And so my time with them was rather brief as well. And then I decided, you know what, I'm not happy with either party, so I'm just going to go independent. And so I've been independent ever since. And what's interesting is while I was studying political science and taking all of these different courses on history and politics and law, the interesting is that they really do not talk a whole lot about the independent alternative party movement. And so my professors often kind of brush them off or dismiss them. And I thought that was interesting. So since I graduated in 2022, I've actually spent quite a bit of my time actively studying and reading and researching, the independent third party movement to learn what's worked, what hasn't worked, where there is opportunity. And so I've spent the past 3+ years or so, 3-4 years, really diving into that, especially within the last 2 years. I've been heavily involved with independent politics in the state of Illinois. I helped form a PAC here in Illinois, the Illinois Committee for Independent Political Action, which gave rise to the Independence Party. We figured after the 2024 election that we needed to start a viable, third party in the state of Illinois. We had seen the Libertarians try, we've seen the Greens try, and other minor parties try in Illinois in the past. And Illinois is honestly one of the most restrictive states when it comes to independent third-party candidates. The rules are stacked highly against us to even get on the ballot, and I've experienced that now more than ever. As I was telling you earlier, that right now my candidacy is being challenged by both the Republican and Democratic parties, along with other candidates who are running for other parties or running as independents. And so Illinois it's quite difficult. Some of the challenges we face higher petition signature requirements. For example, in my candidacy, I had to collect over 2,600 signatures just to try to get on the ballot, while both my opponents only had to get 500 signatures.
Oh, no.
And so, it is a very steep hill to climb here in Illinois. Even to get on the ballot for governor, you have to gather 25,000 signatures as an independent, while the established parties have to gather only 5,000 signatures. And in order to get ballot access across the state, you have to run a statewide candidate and get 5% of the vote in the election. So they really have this stacked against us here in Illinois, but
Yes.
that doesn't mean that we don't fight. We just have to fight harder.
Yes. It sounds like you want this.
Yes, I mean, I truly believe that in order to challenge the duopoly, we really need a viable third party, and a viable path for independent candidates to get on the ballot to effectively challenge, both sides. Because in reality, to me, both sides, they're two wings of the same bird. So, we need a viable third party, not just in Illinois, but across the country as well. So I'm fighting hard to advance those efforts for independence and third party candidates alike.
Great. Please tell us more about the Independence Party that you founded, what it stands for, its platform, planks, and also how you're taking that vision in this current election.
All right. So the Independence Party, we formed in April of 2025. And what we decided for our platform is we decided to have 10 basic principles that the party goes by and that the members all believe in, and that the candidates that run for the under the party label believe in.
Okay.
And so just to run through those quickly, number one is ending corporate capture. Number two is peace and non-intervention, so taking an anti-war stance. Number three is supporting secure borders and humanitarian immigration practices. Number four is embracing civil liberties. Number five is healing the divide. As you know, the division in the country is continuing to become more and more polarized every day. Number six is lifting up communities. Number seven is embracing public environmental health. Number eight is economic justice. And number nine is responsible technology with the rise of AI. That's definitely on the minds of many people, especially in Illinois, because we have there's a lot of debate over the data centers that are coming up in Illinois. And then lastly, of course, being independents and third party folks, we believe in free and fair elections, allowing more choices on the ballot, and leveling the playing field for everyone. So that's just a run through of the 10 core principles.
Okay. So for the first one, I want to make sure I heard you right. You said it's corporate what?
Ending corporate capture. So basically that we support policies that drive the needs of people, not massive corporations that are currently owning our politicians and running the system.
Oh, okay. I get you. So to lessen the impact of corporations on the political system.
Yes.
Okay, great.
And one of the things that I believe in personally, and it's on my platform, is I support ending corporate welfare. I'm tired of seeing the corporations being bailed out, given subsidies, and getting tax breaks on behalf of at the expense of the taxpayers.
Yes, that's a great approach. So for this race in particular, what are the issues that are hot in Illinois, and how are you solving them?
All right. So as I've been out on the campaign trail, I've been talking to voters across my district and even outside of the district as well. My district is fairly small and quite gerrymandered as well, so the borders are rather interesting. So I talk to people from both within my district and outside of it, and the general theme that I'm hearing, the number one issue that I am hearing from people, it's about affordability. People are struggling. Okay. They're living paycheck to paycheck. They're seeing prices go up at the grocery store. They're trying to, they want to feed their families. They want to, their savings are being depleted. Young people are trying to get into the market to own homes, to save, to invest. I mean, it's just, even seniors are struggling as well, trying to make ends meet and trying to keep up with the rising costs. So that definitely affordability is the number one issue. And also, talking to people as an independent, as a nonpartisan candidate, I hear a lot of people that are just totally fed up with both sides, and they would love to have another option on the ballot. They don't feel represented by the Democrats. They don't feel represented by the Republicans. And so they want to have another choice on the ballot. And once we explain all of the rules and restrictions and everything that's stacked against us, people are quite disgusted by it. And so, people definitely want to change in our elections. They don't feel represented. They want more options, than what the two parties offer. So, so my three core, I always tell people, and I always ask candidates this question. What are your top three issues? What are your top three policy goals that you want to establish and fight for? And so for me, my top three issues, when it comes to affordability and election reform, so number one, for me, the number one issue I'm running on are bottom-up tax cuts aimed at poor working and middle-class folks. So my whole life, and well before I was even born, I would say starting around the era of Ronald Reagan with the whole trickle-down economic system, I have been seeing both sides cut taxes top-down my whole life and well before then. And so my approach is cutting taxes bottom-up for poor working and middle-class folks. And when I explain this to people, what's interesting is I have found that when I talk to people, voters about this, whether they're Democrats, Republicans, or independents, all of them seem to be fairly excited about that. They find it intriguing. They've never heard such an approach before. And so that's been really cool to talk to people about learning, testing the waters with, new, bold, nuanced policies. And so bottom-up tax cuts in particular include a bottom-up income tax cut. So for me personally, it involves raising the standard deduction significantly. I mean, depending on how radically one wants to cut it, we'll see what happens there. But I mean, for me personally, and I know I've heard this around the country with other candidates, both on the left and on the right. Me personally, I would like to see the first $70,000 to $100,000 be tax free, because when we allow the poor working and middle class to keep the money that they earn, that money will be used for expenses, to save, to invest, to build equity. And, raising the standard deduction, it'll give them the most benefit, but it'll help others making well above that threshold as well. And so yeah, that's the first part, bottom up income tax cuts. Number two, I also want to go after the sales tax in Illinois. I have some friends of mine that are, sales tax abolitionists, and I don't quite call myself that just yet, but I would personally like to see the sales tax be abolished for basic needs, food, medicine, health and hygiene products, infant products like formula and diapers, stuff that people need to get by. I want to cut the sales tax for those first before saying. I always tell people, if somebody wants to buy an 85-inch television, I want to cut the sales tax for basic necessities before I move to that.
Okay, fair. Sounds good.
So, and then also, I also think taking a similar approach to property taxes would also help young people that are looking to get into home ownership, helping people that want to start families, and to help seniors that are currently being crushed by high property taxes in Illinois. So that's the basis of bottom-up tax cuts. I've got more details on my website, on my platform, that goes into more details. And I'm currently working on some other policies as well. So yeah, that's the first area of policy interest that I have. Number two, to go along with the bottom-up tax cuts, I also support top-down spending cuts, specifically targeted at the government, corporations, politicians, and the wealthy. As I said earlier, corporate welfare, I'm tired of subsidizing corporations using taxpayer dollars. I'm tired of bailing them out. I'm tired of cutting their taxes. And so I'm going after corporate welfare first. And so that's part of this, my approach. I also believe in freezing state spending so that we can get spending under control. they just passed another, was it $56 billion budget for the state of Illinois. And, they're celebrating that it's a balanced budget, but one way to balance budgets is to increase taxes, which is exactly what they're doing. And so for me, I would like to see that be capped, to see spending be capped, and then we can really go in and analyze, where is money being wasted, where's bloat that could be cut off, be cut, and where fraud is taking place as well. And then, we kept the spending top down, then we could cut taxes bottom up. So that's my approach there. And then of course, when it comes to election reform, I'm passionate about, of course, making it more accessible for independents and third-party folks to get on the ballot. I believe we should level the playing field so that even the established parties candidates can get on the ballot, because they often kick each other off the ballot as well. If they have any primary challengers, they'll challenge one another as well. And so, when it comes to election reform, that's the first focus I want to have, is reducing the ballot access requirements so that we can have more choices on the ballot. Because right now, the challenge is exponential. I mean, so like I said, my opponents only had to gather 500 signatures, and I had to gather, close to 3,000 signatures. Now, they got to collect in the summer and fall of 2025 to get on the primary ballot in March. And for me and my friends that are also running as independents, we get to collect during the winter and spring of 2026. So the petition day started on February 25th, then ended on May 26th. And so what that means is we had to start during the coldest time of the year, when it's snowing, when it's raining, when it's freezing outside, and when there are no events. Because to get on the ballot, you have to go out and gather all these signatures, but you have to find people, and there aren't any events being held in March, and barely being towards the end of towards the end of April is when you might see a couple events start to sprinkle in around Easter. But a lot of the events that take place specifically within my district and also, across Illinois, a lot of the events don't start until, around Memorial Day, June, July, August, during the summertime when the weather's nice and there are plenty of events and plenty of things to do. There's more sunlight out, And so the establishment parties, they get to collect during the summer and fall, while we have to collect during the most unpredictable time of the year. And so that it makes it even more difficult for us. And then two other interesting factors that make it more difficult to get on the ballot. They have restrictions on who can run as an independent third-party candidate and who can circulate for them as well. So Illinois has open primary system, so you can vote in either party's primaries. However, if you choose to vote in either party's primary, you're essentially barred from running as an independent or third-party candidate. So it's not quite open to me if you can't run if you vote in either party's primaries. Even if you vote for offices that you're not even seeking. Another restriction is if you have a friend who wants to circulate for you and they decided to help somebody else get on the ballot for the primary, if they circulated for a Democrat or for a Republican candidate, regardless of what office or what area of the state that they're in, if they circulate for either party, they cannot circulate for an independent or third-party candidate. And so I had some friends that wanted to circulate for me, but they couldn't because they helped other friends who were running, wanting to get on the ballot for the primary. And so that made it difficult. I had less people that were able to circulate petitions for me. So it made it more difficult for me to get my signatures. So, yeah. So it's been a long couple months, and now I'm facing this legal challenge, which is the other issue with running as an independent third-party candidate in Illinois, is as soon as you turn in your signatures, you've got watchdogs from both parties, attorneys, activists, party members, regardless of where they're at in the state. I'm in Southern Illinois, and I had people from Chicago requesting my petitions to view. And so, as soon as you submit, they're already looking for a way to challenge you. And so we're seeing that happen right now with many candidates in Illinois. So yeah, that's the legal challenges definitely are another significant hurdle to meet, because both parties have the resources, they have the people, they have the money, and so that definitely makes it more difficult. But yeah, that's just a little bit of what I've been dealing with lately throughout this process.
Okay.
So I don't want to change that when it comes to election reform.
Yes. So when do you find out for sure if you make the ballot or not?
Well, right now, so the other day I had somebody challenge my petitions, and they were a local Republican. Then yesterday I had a local Democrat challenge me. And so on June 9th, there will be a hearing at the State Board of Elections where every candidate who's been challenged will meet to hear the arguments from their objectors, and a decision will be made whether or not we will be placed on the ballot or kept off the ballot.
Okay.
The good thing is, in the state of Illinois, there is the option to run as a write-in candidate if you do get kicked off the ballot or kept from the ballot, albeit running as a write-in campaign is even more difficult. It's easier to get on, but you're technically not getting on because you won't be listed on the ballot, but you will be a valid candidate. And so that is one option I'm considering if they decide to kick me off or keep me from getting on the ballot.
Okay, good. Good. I'm glad that you're not going to fold if you don't get on the ballot. That's great.
Yep.
Okay. So since your district is heavily gerrymandered, as you said, what is your strategy for reaching the voters in the district? Is it because it's gerrymandered, is it hard to reach all the places, or do you have a strategy in place for that?
So I've been, whenever I decided to run for office, the first thing I did was, with my background in political science, I had to deeply study my district, and I even studied it over the past few election cycles. I looked at it at a precinct level, and then eventually, once I became a candidate and had access to the voter files, I started breaking down my district by demographics. And so what's interesting is in my district, there are roughly 108,000 people living in my district. It's a small district, but it's densely populated. And it's a pretty mixed district as well. So out of that 108,000, 74,000 are registered voters, which means that there are roughly 34,000 people not even registered to vote. Now, of that 74,000, 25,000 roughly are Democrats, 15,000 are Republicans, and 34,000 are nonpartisan.
Oh, great.
And so to me, I thought, between the high number of nonpartisans and the high number of non-registered voters, that there is a, significant opportunity for a nonpartisan candidate within my district, despite the current stronghold of the two parties here. What's interesting is, despite the fact that my district is heavily gerrymandered, if you look at the map, they just redistricted within the last few election cycles, so it's even tighter now. The district is broken, I would say it's broken up into several areas. So in the northern part of the district, which is where the Democrat incumbent resides, it's a predominantly, I would say, a wealthier area, mixed. It leans more Democrat than Republican, but it's quite mixed.
Okay.
And then in the southern part of the district, which is where the Republican opponent resides, That area leans more conservative, I would say, especially in the most southern part of the district. So that area leans more Republican. And then I would say the western part of the district, which is more it's blue collar, industrial area. That kind of it's a little bit mixed there as well. And then of course in the central part of the district is actually my hometown, and which is also mixed. It's kind of a mix of poor working middle class folks in the center. And so I thought it was interesting that out of all the people running, I'm in the middle of the district. And so interestingly enough, it's pretty cool the fact that so my district has existed since 1982. And since then, I am the first nonpartisan candidate to run for state rep in our district. So I thought that was pretty cool. But
yeah.
So I think there's great opportunity to tap into the nonpartisan vote, especially considering that a lot of people I've talked to are either disgruntled Democrats, disgruntled Republicans that want more options as well. So I've been looking at the voter data from the past few election cycles, as I mentioned, and what's interesting is, both the Democrats and Republicans have actually continuously lost. They've lost votes and they've lost fundraising as well past few election cycles. And when I even look at a precinct level, I noticed that the office of state representative, that both candidates, there are a lot of people out there that don't even vote. They'll pull a ballot and they'll vote for other offices, but they may not even vote for either candidates for state representative. So, and I think that, if when they had a third choice on the ballot, there's a good chance that they would actually choose that third option rather than just leaving it blank. So I thought that was interesting. Yeah, what I've been doing lately to reach out in the district now that the weather's been better and I've been having to gather signatures, I've predominantly been going out to public events and meeting with people, talking with them. I've gone with friends and volunteers to go to gather signatures, and which gives me a great opportunity to just speak with people one-on-one, ask them about the issues that they care about, answer any questions that they have for me. And it's been fun. I really enjoy that part of campaigning, being able to speak with people one-on-one and be able to show them who I am and what I believe in, because it's honestly kind of rare to see people do that nowadays. But other than that, I've been using social media a lot. So I've been using Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, even LinkedIn to an extent, to build out my network and to share ideas and talk to people. So social media definitely plays a big role in campaigning nowadays. So yeah, I've primarily been communicating through that. I've also been using different tools. I'll give a shout out to the folks over at Good Party who provide affordable voter data and technology and tools for independent third-party candidates. And so I've been utilizing their tech and services to reach out to voters through texting and, for the data. And then I've also been using other voter outreach tools as well in addition to theirs. So I just wanted to give them a shout out because they're a great group and provide great services at a very affordable rate. So yeah, I don't know if you've heard of them or if anyone's talked to you about them. I would highly recommend them. So.
Okay, great. Thanks. We'll take that into consideration. Thanks for the tip. So, Andrew, how can our audience support your campaign?
So, the best place that I can direct people to, they can go to my website at electcottingham.us, where you can learn more about me, about my candidacy and my platform, see what I've been doing locally, and learning more about my race. As I said, the current challenge to me being on the ballot, that really the outcome of that really determines what I do next. As I said, I've been considering doing a write-in campaign as well. So in the coming weeks, I'll be making my final decision on whether or not I choose to pursue that. But yeah, my website, alexacottingham.us, that also has my social media listed there as well, where people can find me, like I said, on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and whatnot. So yeah, I mean, really just check me out. See, if people have an interest in what I'm running on or, what I'm doing, feel free to reach out at any time. I'm also, also reach out to the Independence Party if you're from Illinois and want to get involved. The website for the Independence Party is indyvoters.org. So people can check us out there. And then I'm also involved in another group that I was involved with well before deciding to run for office. It is a policy center called the Center for Upper Left Policy, which is an organization that promotes a new political map called the Equality Freedom Model. It's, part of the research that I've been so dedicated to and has led me to actually run for office on the platform that I'm running on. And so if you want to check out our political map and the research that we've done, our website is at upperleftcenter.org. And so that's been a great focus of mine as well, and will be a focus going forward as we continue to build out the independent third-party movement.
Okay, great. I will plan on putting that information in the show notes so the people who see that can go there. All right.
Excellent.
Sure. Andrew, we thank you for coming on the podcast today and talking about your campaign. We appreciate you having a good thing going with your campaign.
Well, thank you, man. I appreciate the opportunity to come on and speak. This is what, as I said, this is what I love to do. This is what I'm passionate about, and I am extremely grateful for the opportunity, and thank you for reaching out to me.
Sure thing. We wish you all the best in your campaign and also everything else you do in your personal and professional life.
Awesome. Thank you. You as well.
Bye now. Take care.
All right. Bye.